Greetings, greetings. This is Shani Kulture, Hot 97. We are here. It is Black History Month, and we have something very special planned for you. First of all, I want to introduce some amazing people as we continue on this journey of strength and enlightenment and empowerment. Without further ado, just continuing forward, we have actor, singer, award-winning, multi-talented, Rotimi in the building. Rotimi, what's good, brother?
What's going on, family? Everything beautiful, man. How you?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. We have activist, artist, producer, Mysonne the General. What's up, King?
Peace, King. How you doing today, man? I'm glad to have a favor.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. And we have actor, icon, legend, producer, hip hop artist, Busta Rhymes, the mighty infamous, in the building. What's up, King?
I'm great, Almighty. How you doing, brothers?
Blessed, fam.
No doubt, no doubt.
So first, I just want to I want to thank you, Kings, for even being here and being like just amazing contributions to Black people as a movement, you know, and being just amazing role models, you know, for anybody who is young and comes from our culture, comes from our neighborhoods, comes from our countries, to look up to be able to see you guys as somebody who they can aspire to be. And that's a big part of the reason why we're here today, so that people can understand what it took to get to where you are now. You know, where did you come from? What did you do? What were your dreams? What were your aspirations? You know, what were the obstacles? What were the things that you had to put into your mind to get to where you are that, you know, can continue to help inspire the youth and our culture in general? So I have a couple of questions, and we're just gonna have a roundtable discussion. And some questions are specific to each of you, and some questions will be, you know, for everybody. And I'm gonna start with you, Busta. So diversifying as an artist, right? Being so diverse, being able to do movies and being able to do hip hop. How difficult was that first?
I think the only challenging part of that, or component in all of that, was the strict schedule of acting, as opposed to, you know, the looser schedule of being a recording artist. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a recording artist, you could kind of control your schedule a little more freely. When you acting, you know, you got to move when you're told you have to move. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, sometimes even in you know, opportunities when you get to act, sometimes you be on the set 6 o'clock in the morning, and you'll be sitting there for about 8, 9, 10 hours and won't be doing nothing. Timmy, you could attest to this, right?
Timmy, I know. Go ahead.
It's the hurry up and wait system, man. Like, the joke is, like, you don't get paid to act, you get paid for your time and your waiting.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a real thing what Bus is saying, for sure.
Yeah, so in terms of that, like, and I mean it in a way, like, how important is it to be that flexible and diverse in being an artist and trying to find a way to climb this ladder, you know, coming from where we came from, or coming from what you knew you had to do in order to be the artist that you are now?
Is that who?
You can answer that, Rotimi.
Yeah,
oh, no, Bus was still talking.
No, I was going to say that the way I was raised, especially the time that we was raised, like, you get raised in different ways based on the time that you was born. You get what I'm saying? In the time frame that I was born, as a 70s child, you know, the 80s were like the years where the everlasting impressions were left. And at that time, you know, for me in particularly, you know, it was very important that the environment that you was coming up in at that time dealt with, you know, the empowerment of Black people. Like, that was really important at the time. You know what I mean? Like, At that time, you had the 5% Nation of the Gods and Earths. You had the Zulu Nation. You know, you even had the artist that was super successful making informative records in music. You even saw it in television and film. Like, that's why you would see things like, you know, the type of movies that Spike Lee made at that time being successful. You would see, you know, a lot of things that we don't see no more, or that we're not around no more. And I'm saying all of this to say that at that time it was imperative to be taught the significance and the importance of, in order to remain, you have to be, in order to be remainable, you have to be swift and changeable. So it's like knowing how to adjust to every situation, because failure was never an option, was something that was kind of like embedded in you, and particularly at that time. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I feel fortunate that at that time I was able to, you know, be raised by a lot of important people locally, and just environmentally. I think that, you know, those things, that was the environment, the mindset, and just the way of life. It was it was instilled in my being on a primary level. So yeah. I think that's what really contributed the most to the value of diversifying. No matter what situation you was in, you got to succeed and you got to adjust. You know?
So, and Mysonne, I see you nodding your head in agreement. You know, tell us a little bit about, in terms of when he says adjusting, you know, some of the flexibility you had to have in terms of where you came from, how you started, and how you've grown. Give us some back history.
Well, my situation is pretty much all about adjustment. You know, I came in the industry in late '98, and I was found by Chris Lighty, and I was young. I was 20, 21 years old, you know, and my whole life was ahead of me. I was just got a major record deal, was signed with Chris Lighty, about to drop my album. And then right after I was about to drop my album, I ended up getting sentenced to 7 to 14 years for armed robbery charge that I didn't commit. So the same year I signed a record deal, I got a song out. I'm on a Rough Riders album. The Violator album's about to drop. I got like 3 songs on there. Busta's on. So I'm anticipating all of the success. And before I'm even able to experience any success, I'm in prison doing 7 to 14 years. So that adjustment period, just sitting in the cell, seeing your whole life taken from you before you even got an opportunity to experience, was an adjustment. Not just falling, not saying, you know what, I'm giving up, I can't take this, you know, seeing your whole life taken from you and not falling, you know, just sitting in that cell every day, waking up, knowing that you got years ahead of you and you're not leaving nowhere, right? Just watching the game pass you, watching new artists come out that, you know, that are taking off, guys that you remember when you was in there about to win, they was just coming to the industry looking at you like you're gonna be the next dude. You know, and you see people moving into those spaces. So that was a hard shock for somebody just sitting in a cell, not knowing what his life entailed.
But now with that too, how many brothers did you see in the same situation in terms of like maybe being wrongly accused or coming from the same places you came from, that you felt like maybe like yourself had a bright future, and maybe the system came and took it away? And did that affect you in terms of your activism?
Oh man, I was going to get to that. That was one of the things that started my activism. You know, while I sat in jail and knowing that half, you know, my opportunities have been snatched from me, I said to myself, you know, the system only wins when you allow them to win. You know, I said every day that I don't learn, I don't grow as an individual, mentally, physically, spiritually, then the system wins. So I made a conscious decision to grow every day, exercise, read, work out, write rhymes, do everything to be better than I was when I got there. And what I realized when I was in there, it was so many brilliant brothers in prison. Some of the most talented rappers I ever seen was in prison. Artists that draw, some of the most intelligent brothers, man. I was blessed to be among some like geniuses, literally geniuses who sat me in the corner because I was a sponge. You know, I wasn't somebody that adapted to prison. I made prison adapt to me. I wasn't trying to join no gangs. I wasn't trying to fit in. I carved my own lane. I was comfortable in my own space. And a lot of the OGs that had been serving 20 and 30 years for fake robberies where they said they robbed somebody for $10. Dudes was doing 20 and 30 years for $10 crimes because a white woman said he took her pocketbook, but the pocketbook only had $10 in there. And he was like, yo, this don't even make sense. I was a hustler. I was getting money over here, and you were charging me for a robbery I ain't got nothing to do. And they sentenced him to 25 and 30 years to life. So these is the brothers that took me under their wing, because when they got in prison, they went to the law library. They spent their time in the law library trying to figure out how I'm gonna get out of here, trying to learn all the system. And they figured those things out. They learned them things. They had actually helped other brothers get out of prison, you know? And they sat me down and talked to me and instilled certain things in me and said, brother, you going home one day. Some of us ain't gonna make it home. And you have a responsibility, man. You see how they bringing these young boys in here that's 16 and 17 with 25 and 30 and 40 years for crimes that they white counterparts ain't even coming to jail for. You understand, and you understand that not only are they doing us wrong, but we're tricking ourselves because we're glorifying a lifestyle that ain't nothing in. Because we was taught in the street, most of the dudes come home from jail and you glorify them. You thought they was somebody. They sit there and tell you the jail stories about how they had old Jack Mack and they had the gators in the yard and they was on a visit. And you thought you wanted to be that. When I was a young dude, I thought you couldn't be real unless you went to jail. This was
in the TV and they say in the music too.
Yeah.
But look, wait, I want to touch on something because you said something that was real strong. You said, I mean, everything you're saying is strong, but you said I didn't adapt to prison. I made prison adapt to me.
Exactly. Because what
happened, I want to expand on that, and I know anybody could jump in too, because that was a part of the diversifying, like Busta, what you're saying. Like, because you know, as a people, we gotta adapt all the time. We don't have the luxury to always just be like, you know, and think that the rules work for us. You understand what I'm saying?
For me,
so when you say that, what you mean?
I think for me, right, there's a certain things in prison, right? You go to prison, you know, people, you either join a gang, you get involved with prison politics, you know, you gambling or you hustling, you know, you involved in something to make yourself belong and feel comfortable. And I was so comfortable in myself, I didn't have to be involved with none of that. I said, I'm not hanging with you. The New York dudes make you feel like if you from New York and you don't hang with only New York dudes, you soft, and the upstate dudes don't like the New York dudes. I was like, I'm by myself and I pick who I want to choose. You might be from upstate, you might be from Rochester, you might be from Buffalo, you might be from Brooklyn. I handpicked my people who had the same moral compass that I had, and I surrounded myself with people that fit me. I didn't have to fit into anything. So when I said that, that's what it was for me, and that's how I lived my life. You know, I said to myself, I'm not trying to fit in. This is not my reality. I don't have to make myself comfortable here. I want to make myself as uncomfortable as possible because I want to make sure that I never return. You know, and everybody that was around me, I didn't want them to be comfortable. I don't want you to be comfortable here. I want you to be uncomfortable. So you remember this every day of your life. Every time these young boys come in and they say they scared, so they want to join the gang. What you join the gang for, brother? All you think you're doing is you attaching yourself to somebody else that got issues and situations that ain't got nothing to do with you. And next thing you know, you got to put yourself in jeopardy to protect somebody that you might not even like. And it don't make sense. But this is what they was taught they were supposed to do. And I was defying all those norms, especially in prison. And I wanted to bring, and when I came home, I said, that's the mentality that I'm coming out here. I'm not letting y'all lie to these babies and tell them they tough because they shooting somebody. They tough because they go to jail or you need these war scars. Nah, you tough when you home and you taking care of your family. You tough when you home and you making sure your mom's safe. Because when you locked up and you said, yo, I had to do this for that, who taking care of your mother and your kids when you in jail doing 25 and 30 years, right? So if it's going to take you 2 or 3 years to do the right thing to get to a proper place, then take that rather than risking 40 and 50 years for some shit that ain't gonna add up anyway.
That's a fact. Nah, it's a blessing. I mean, look, we blessed to have you out here spreading that message because that message does not get conveyed and it does not get highlighted, you know, on a lot of different platforms and or in the music. Rotimi, I want to ask you too, in terms of adapting too, you know, I know you represent, what is it, Nigeria?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Nigeria, you know, were you born there or your parents, immigrant parents? Well, you know, just in terms of adapting to the lifestyle, were you always encouraged to go in this field in terms of entertainment? Were there people were there obstacles that you had that, you know, kind of could deter you, but you pushed forward?
Man, you know, for me, being first generation Nigerian, so I had a household that everything was disciplined. If you Caribbean, if you African, you know this. Mm-hmm. It's about discipline. It's about being the best at what you do. It's no excuses, because my parents came here homeless, you know. So like, and then my mom ended up getting her doctorate at Columbia University, you know. So I had no excuse, because she started from nothing, you know, something. She's a PhD, everything. My dad,
that's real,
you know what
beautiful.
I mean? My dad is one of the, at the time, was one of the biggest investment bankers in New York, and worked at and went to Rutgers University. So for me, one, being an only child, the attention was on me. And then also not having the typical African Nigerian support of music, it didn't really affect me, because my parents were really, really supportive, because my mom is a spiritual warrior. So when I was in her womb, she said Bob Marley had come to her and said, you know, your son's going to finish my legacy. So that already broke down a lot of the social norms of, you know, you have to be a lawyer, Rotimi, you have to be a doctor, you have to be an engineer. Like, all of those things didn't hit me, you know. But what I had to do was prove myself that this is what I wanted to do. And I came out singing. I was a wedding singer at 4 or 5 years old, you know, singing at every talent show, high school talent show, colleges, everything. And I was just hungry, you know, because I wanted to prove that in this field that you say you really can't make money, that people, everybody's trying to do it, this and this, having that mindset I had to prove to my parents. And I went to Northwestern University. So my gift to them was finishing college, even though I knew that I really didn't want to use this degree for anything. So I got my degree. And the adjustment for me, acting was never my adjustment. I mean, acting was never my goal or my dream. It was never to do acting. I was a broke artist in Chicago, living on the South Side. And my manager one day was like, man, you should just go get a commercial or something. Just try to figure something out, man. And I went in, and no one took me because I had no acting resume. So because I had no acting resume, you can't get a job. In fact, it just worked out that this small boutique agency was run by a woman whose son went to my school. So she was like, I'll just take you in because you might know my son. I signed on Monday, and on Wednesday, she had me in my first audition. And I had nothing. I didn't know what camera right was, left was, nothing. I did not have a clue, but I was just blessed. It was the right time. And Kelsey Grammer, one of the legendary TV actors of all time, he did Cheers, he did Frasier, he did all those things. It was his show. It was a TV show called Boss. And so he happened to be in my audition that day. So walking in, not knowing anything, I just trusted my instincts, man. And an instinct I didn't know, I just trusted myself, and I left there with a series regular role. So the adjustment at that moment, you getting 6 figures for something straight out of college, you have no idea what you're signing for. So you're happy, but you have no idea what's entailed. So now the beast in you, either you sink or swim, is where a lot of the things I grew up with. Okay, Rotimi, you got to be diligent. You got to be, you got to listen. You got to compartmentalize your time. You got to stay spiritual during this time. You got to be egoless. You have to. So all of these things that I learned growing up all accumulated to this moment of, okay, now I'm an actor. So now I had to kind of put the music dream on the back burner, because I had to now learn something that was actually paying my bills, you know? And so that mentally, for anybody who knows how brilliant they are in multiple things, can be frustrated. You know, it can be very frustrating, because you're like, man, I've been trying 18 years of my life. And then one day I'm doing something that, okay, I'm getting paid, but I have to grow to love it. And so that then says, okay, another level of animal has to come out. Okay, let me use this platform to do what I genuinely want to do. And genuinely want to do. And now let me make myself a known name in this world to bring it to this. And then the story for me, bro, is just really just believe in yourself. Don't let nobody put you in a box, man. Like, as humans, we can't comprehend somebody being good at more than one thing. I don't know why. I don't know where that happened, but like, if you're this, you can't be that. If you're this, you can't be that. If you're a painter, how can you be a great investment banker? People can't fathom these things. So it's for us to break the norm. And it starts with self-worth, self-love, putting in the time. And that's how I diversified, man. Going to college really helped me as well, because I was able to really see how bad I wanted something. I go to a top university, but I got to take the L train and go down to this small little coffee shop and hopefully win this talent show. So, because I know this executive is going to be there, but on the way back, I got to write my thesis paper. And so that mentality started brewing into what I do now. And
right.
I don't think enough people see the glamour of celebrity and this, man, the work you got to put in, because everybody now has a phone, everybody can get beats, everybody can get a script. That's not, you know, you got to separate yourself. And I think it's the intangibles that we have to start with, and the intangibles are the most important things. So that was my diversity.
Nah, that's amazing, bro. Congratulations on everything that you've accomplished. It's truly inspiring. I want to ask too, in terms of that journey, Busta Rhymes, you've been on an amazing journey yourself too. What would you tell your if you was able to go back and speak to your 17-year-old self? What advice and tools would you give yourself now that you would give your younger self?
The first thing that I would have definitely told myself was, don't be so quick to have children.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I had my first child when I was 21, but I was in a serious relationship with the mother of my child at 17. Because you know, back at that time, you was kind of always told, and that signed my deal when I was 17. This was 1989. So, you know, at that time, the way we was raised is get you a real one before you get on, because you ain't gonna know who to trust when you get on. So get you the real one before you get on. There's a lot of misconception of that. If it happens organically, then that's a beautiful thing, but there's a lot of misconception to that. And I say that to say that you haven't lived when you're 17. You don't know nothing about the challenges of what it is to be a man, what it is to be a young man, what it is to be just someone that can really value what understanding is. Because it's the best part. You don't know nothing when you're 17. You think you do. And you know, this whole concept about, you know, you're a legal adult when you're 18 is a real misconception. And I think it's put in place intentionally to be one of the first components to destroying the solidness of the foundation of the family, because your kids, they start to get this mentality that they could do things without the consent of their support system, or without the consent of authority in the home, or you start not respecting, or you ain't gotta agree with and not care because you're a legal adult, so I can make my own decisions and not care about how I affect the people that has been actually taking care of me in such a phenomenal way, so that you can actually make some responsible decisions when you're 18. You just age and you start to
You're looking for independence at that point. You think you're grown, so you want to do what you want to do.
Yeah, so that's the first thing I'd have told myself. Like, don't be so in a rush to act like you grown. You know what I'm saying? Even though...
Would you have listened?
Huh?
Would you have listened to your 17-year-old self? Don't be in such a rush to act like you grown. A lot of us probably wouldn't take that.
I definitely probably wouldn't have listened.
But that's what you would tell
yourself. But that's what I'd have told my 17-year-old self. And, and truth be told, you know, I was fortunate enough to have such a supportive, you know, support system. My mom signed my deal. Like she was with me from the beginning of the inception of my desire to want to do this music thing. You know, like Rotimi was saying, it's, you know, his moms and pops, they was supportive of the music. You know what I'm saying? I was close to Mysonne when Mysonne first came in the violator offices. I was proud of Mice. I was a fan of Mice, and we was ready to push him forward. So we all had some incredible support systems, but we still was, you know, it's a part of the nature to want to not only act like you grown prematurely. You know, we all young, we want to do grown people shit, you know what I'm saying? But that's the first thing I'd have told myself. The second thing I'd have told myself was, stick with the understanding of managing your business and your money properly. And it's incredible the way I was blessed in a situation where we definitely had the infrastructure of doing proper business. We had a corporation. Parents were like presidents and vice president, treasurer, secretary of the corporation. As leaders of the new school, we put ourselves on salaries. The accountant at the time took our taxes out of the salaries that we was on, so we would never owe taxes. But then we eventually deviated from that, you know, once we felt like we could do what we want. Again, not listening. So we started fucking the money up, and we started owing taxes, and we started saying fuck the salary system and just wanting to withdraw bread all the time whenever you felt like it, and there wasn't no system or organization. That would have been the next thing that I'd have told myself, just be a little more smart with and value your blessed opportunity a little bit more. Last thing that I'd have told myself was, you know, without taking time for granted, use patience as your greatest weapon. You get what I'm saying? Because sometimes I don't think we realize how important it is to allow things to come to fruition when it's supposed to, and not valuing patience and trying to prematurely control doing what you want and feeling like it's time for you to do it when it's not. That's a real selfish way of thinking. It's like when it's almost like being a brat. If you can't get your shit off or get what you want when you feel like you're supposed to have this or have that, you up. That ain't the way the universe works, and that ain't the way life works. And lacking of that patience and the understanding of the value of that patience could fuck around and have you block your own blessing. You know what I'm saying? So that primarily I would have told my 17-year-old self, but I'm gonna be honest with you, outside of that, man, I don't really live with too much regret because I've been so blessed. You know, I'm celebrating a 30-year anniversary on July 30th this year. You know, I think what's even more beautiful, you know, the shit that I went through that wasn't always pleasurable experiences are the things that built me into becoming this man and built my character and built my endurance and my resilience in order to be here in this current time and space, not only celebrating a 30-year anniversary, but being in my best space, mind, body, and spirit. Like I'm in the best shape of my life in a long time. I'm the healthiest I've been in a long time. I'm happy that I've been in a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm sharing some of my most incredible and my best work in the current time. Because I never was one of those living the past dudes. And I think none of us really respected the OG on the block that don't look like he currently doing his thing. You know, the OG on the block that might be telling you about all of his yesteryears and shit, but he ain't looking too good right now. I think we would rather listen to the ones that was looking like whatever they was doing back in the day still work. Because if it looked like it ain't working no more, you know, we ain't really as driven to want to listen. But, you know, it just feels good to be in a space where I could currently share and continue to give great energy and be a resource to people.
Yeah.
I'm still able to be around for such a significant amount of time.
And you've always been an artist who's had tons of energy from the beginning of Woo Ha, jumping on trampolines and the hats and the colors. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, so you know, you have always been a unique, amazing artist, and congratulations on 30 years, man, and your latest project. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Amazing
Thank you, brother.
work. Amazing work.
You know what I'm saying? Man.
In terms of like looking into today, right? And anybody could jump in on this. You know, somebody had threw one of the questions at me. Martin Luther King had a dream. Do you think that his dream is fulfilled? But even just going a little further than that, as Black people, because this right here, this panel is called Black Men Rise, right? And let's just say Black people rise. Looking at where we're supposed to be, and in our private worlds, and we have the ciphers and the conversations of like our people, this and what holds us back and all these different things. What do you think we really need to focus on in order to continue to move forward as a culture? And it's a big loaded question and we all got a million answers, but I want to hear perspectives because it's got to be realistic goal that we can truly accomplish and not just the things that we've heard over and over.
Oh, you got it, bro.
You want to go? Go ahead. I'll go after you.
Okay. Now I think, man, financial literacy, man, like we need to understand how to handle money, man. Like no one is telling us. Yeah, no one is telling us anything on how to handle a good lump sum of money or even how to get money properly or what to do when you have it and how to invest. And we don't have that, man. And I feel like if we really figure out some way to have a cool method of showing how to be, and maybe it's just by showing, but like a cool method to show people that, do you understand you can set yourself up right now if you do it the right way? And for me, for example, like my dad was a finance guy. So I had the blessing to say, he came to me, he was like, Rotimi, you just did a deal with Power, okay? Do you feel like you're a star? I said, yeah. He said, all right, I want to challenge you to never spend a cent of your Power contract, no matter how many seasons you're on there. And if you're a star, you're going to make money doing your hostings. You're going to figure out a way to get endorsement deals. You're going to figure out that, but you're not going to spend none of this money. And for me, as a competitor, but also having a dad who's successful in money, I'm like, all right, that might be a smart thing to do. 5 seasons later, I never spent a dime of my Power check. And now I'm able to use that money to, the first thing I did was buy my house with no mortgage. And now and this is right before a pandemic. So now I put myself and my family in a position where we're okay. We at least have a roof over our head. And now we can invest in different things. So if we tell people the importance of financial literacy, man, and how to handle your money, we can definitely, education will then be affected. Health would then be affected because we won't be stressing as much. And then, and our people, we have a lot of medical issues that deal with stress, before anything. And then also just knowing how to teach each other and not hold information. Like other cultures, other races, man, they keep it in house. There's no crab in the barrel system with most other people. They keep it in house and they teach them and they pass the knowledge and they pass the businesses off to their children and their friends and their cousins. And we don't do that, man. And so like, once we start with the finance, then we can go into, okay, the communication. Then we can go into, all right, spirituality. But we start with, if we get our mind right and our spirit calm because we know we'll be okay financially, then we can build on the rest because a lot of that, yeah.
So just to quick, before you jump in, just to kind of summarize what you just said, you think individually in the households, like how you had a father who influenced you and how other cultures keep it in-house, you think each individual house should figure out how to financially educate their children and really try to build us individually. We can't rely on the schools to do it. That's what you're saying.
We can't rely on the schools, obviously, because it's not working. You know what I mean? Nothing really just changed. It's not schools. I think it's just people who are able to who have the knowledge need to speak to the kids, man, and at an early age, and make saving cool. Make it look like, how much you got. You got to make saving cool. It's not about, I spent this 10,000 on nines. Like, how much you got in your bank account, bro? And this dude's like, I got 10,000. So who's richer, And so like that mentality, if we have people that do that and we spread this knowledge, and I'm saying that other races, other cultures have figured out a way to keep the money to themselves in-house and make, and when I say in-house, I mean as a race and as a culture. They figured out a way to have a lot of the money and and play on our ignorance, realistically, really. So we need to do better, man. And it starts with the people that have the knowledge, and then we take one child at a time, and then we make that child teach this child, and we grow from there, man. And then you'll see a wave of just You see crime go down. You see health get better. You see love in the air. You see everything because people not worried about where they're gonna eat. You know what I mean?
Everything. No, I like that.
Everything.
And making saving cool sounds, because you know we know hood rich. You get some bread, you gotta, in our culture, we gotta look right. You know what I'm saying? You can't be out here looking crazy. So saving the money, no, we trying to spend the money so that we can look like we got the money. You know what I'm saying? If it make saving cool is dope. My son, what you was saying?
I was gonna say that's definitely a thing, but I think the overarching thing is unity, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not financial I think financial literacy makes sense, but if we was unified, because it's people that know these things, right? We got millionaires, we got billionaires that are literate, that have all of this knowledge. They made billions of dollars. They know how to make billions. They constantly make billions of dollars. They just are not. We are not unified enough to where those people who have the information are giving it to all of us, right? Exactly. So when we identify each other, see what happened is, as Black people, they keep saying Black people are not a monolith. And that's the only culture that feels like that, right? Every other culture passes that generational wealth down to each other, right? They make sure that they hire their own, they inform their own, they put their own in positions, whether they know you or not. They see you as their brothers and their sisters, right? We have been so divided for so long and have had so little for so long that people want to hoard the information. They want to hoard the money they have. They want to spend it on things that don't make sense, right? Because we haven't had it, right? So when we get this level of unification and see each other as brothers and say, yo, you know what? I want to make sure that my brother has the same thing that I got. Not when we do music, just think about the mindset. When we do music, we talk about how much we got that somebody else don't got. I got $1 million, you bum ass nigga, you ain't got this, I got this, y'all bum ass niggas trying to catch up. Not saying, yo, not empowering somebody, but we want to get money to stun on somebody else because they ain't got it, right? That's the mindset that only we got. No other culture does that to their own people. Nobody else wants to have more than their other, to be able to say, I got more than you, right? They get it and they pass the information on and say, look, this is how we go get it together. Let's get in this room. They sit in rooms and they talk about, I got 5 million, you got 10 million, we got 20 million. Look, the stocks is gonna come, we're gonna invest all these stocks at the same time, and we're gonna make $1 billion. And all of us gonna be billionaires, and then we're gonna pass the same information on to our friends and their kids, because there's unity. It's not the information. We got the information. Anything that they give us, we do better than them. Just look at the stock market. They did the whole thing with the GameStop. We said they gave us one little thing and we figured it out. Okay, everybody I know is invested in stock now, right? And now they want to shut it down because Black people will figure it out. Even if you talk about legal things, people start scamming. Blacks figured out how to scam these kids that you ain't see with $2, figure out how to scam you out of everything. Anything that they give us, we're going to maximize. But we have to figure out how to unify and maximize to make sure that we all got it. We got to find one intersection, one thing that we unify under, one umbrella that says, you know what? It's time to make sure that everybody got it. I'm starting a whole program in my neighborhood where I'm like, yo, we got to really own our block. Not just saying buy the block back. No, I want you to invest $200 or $300. Everybody, we got a project building. If everybody in the projects invest $200 or $300 in the fund, right? And we got 20 stores on the block, right? And I said, look, y'all all invest your money. We not shopping in the store no more because none of these people is from here. So we first we're gonna boycott the store because you don't from here and you ain't do nothing for the community. Because they don't let us come in their communities and buy a store. So what we're going to do, and we're going to take all the money y'all invested after they get out to buy that store. So what we do is start hiring people from the block in that store. We're going to do that with every store on the block because that's what everybody else does. So it's not, I don't think it's more literacy. I think it's unified, wanting to see our brother do just as good, if not better than us, and being happy that he's winning. You know, we got to get that unified. We got to get the sense of, I really want to see my brother win. I really want to invest in him. If he got something, I'm going to go buy it from him because I know that's going to make sure he feed his kids and his kids going to make sure they feed theirs. That's got to be the mentality that has to be contagious within us.
That's something that I speak on too. I call it deliberate love, right? Love deliberately, because we'll say, yo, I got love for my brother. I got love for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I got love. But when you love deliberately, like your sister or your brother or your mother, like you're not going to let them fall. You know, that's a different kind of deliberate love than I got love for my people. So if we love deliberately and really show that strength to one another, then yeah, we can uplift each other. Yo, Busta, what you think in terms of like, because I'm really just trying to get to the crux, because I don't want to just make it where we just saying Black men rise. I want people to get real food from this and in our uncensored conversations that we all have, you know, in private, that we know that people need to hear. What do you think it is that you can say or that people need to hear, that what we need to stop doing, you know, as well as what we need to do, but what do we need to stop doing?
I kind of want to go back to what Mysonne and Rotimi was saying. Because what they both saying actually is just as important. Like Mysonne was saying that
unify
financial literacy, it may just be about that. It's very much about that. Very much about the unification of our people. Because we could unify, but if we ain't got no financial literacy, there's no value in our unification.
I wasn't saying that we don't need.
Okay.
I think that we have financial. I think if you look at Master P, you look at LeBron, if you look at the blacks around here that really winning, right? If they all sat in one room, if Oprah, LeBron, these people got billions of dollars and they run billion-dollar industries, right? And if everybody was intentional and said, you know what, I'm going to make sure that everybody gets this information. We're going to do courses where we sit in these.
We're saying the same thing. We're saying the same thing. That's what I'm saying.
It's the same thing. I guess it's the same thing. I guess.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because I'm actually agreeing with both of what y'all are saying. The unification is exactly what's needed. The literacy financially is exactly what's needed. Mysonne, I agree with you with some of these incredible financially literate people in position of power. You're right, they might not be sharing that shit. And the lack of the information that's preventing the financial literacy from happening amongst our people that need it is what's keeping us fucked up. So to go into what Johnny was saying, what I think we need to stop doing, because we know what we should be doing, but what we need to stop doing is exactly that. Let's stop withholding. The people in the position of power should stop withholding the information. But you got to understand.
So who are the people in the positions of power?
Nah, like Mysonne was giving examples of, you know, we got Oprah, we got Master P, we got, you know, a bunch of incredibly successful Black, financially literate people in our culture.
Spread information.
And some of them that ain't even celebrities, but they just know what to do with it, and they got the bread, and they got the understanding of. We need to stop. But see, it's not as easier said than done, because
easier said than done. Yeah,
it's so many people.
But it needs to be said.
It does need to be said that we need to stop withholding that information. We got to share the science. But you do have to make sure, though, that you give this information to your family first. You know, like Rotimi was saying, his father hit him with a jewel that, father, you're supposed to give this jewel to your children. Like, I'm just going to be running around just telling a bunch of motherfuckers that's in my community because they Black in my community. Nah, sometimes you ain't supposed to save everybody. You're supposed to save those that are worthy of that blessing, because you also got to understand there's bad fruit. We got to navigate that shit too, because in our same culture, there's motherfuckers that's so contaminated in our culture. As much as we put into it to empower it, them same motherfuckers would put 10 times as much energy into destroying everything that we're trying to empower. We got to be mindful of that component too. So, like I said, it's easier said than done, but regardless of all of that, the literacy and the unification, it works so hand in hand that Mice and Rotimi is not only saying something that is extremely important, the execution of us actually moving forward with sharing this shit and really, really empower it and feed the value of unification and the value of sharing the information has to start happening in a way where we shifting into fifth gear and keeping it there. Like putting the foot on the brake, regardless what brick wall we might have to crash into, because we also got to understand, you know, going back to when Mice was talking about how, you know, motherfuckers on these records only talk about what they got and how they could stunt on this motherfucker, stunt on that motherfucker.
I was just about to go.
We do got to understand, right? There's a systematic thing that goes into making sure that that's the only thing that succeeds.
I'm glad you touched that. That was my next move.
Because, yo, bro, I come from when Public Enemy was selling 2-3 million albums, and KRS-One was selling 1 million albums, and Latifah was going gold, and Tribe was going platinum, and De La was going platinum, and fucking, you know, X-Clan was going gold, and all these records, all these groups, it wasn't talking about none of this show-off disrespect. Everything was knowledge of self. Everything was empowering the people. Motherfuckers wasn't even really doing, none of this shit going on. And you was able to be successful
doing
that. Somewhere along the course of time, there was an immediate halt in that type of content succeeding. That's not no coincidence. That ain't no accident. That's some other deeper shit that we might have to dive into in another conversation.
Right.
Information and that shit too.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you shit from what I've witnessed firsthand, and I'm also telling you shit that I know based on research from a factual level and can show and prove, because this documentation that exists on the intent that went into making sure that that kind of shit did not succeed no more. What I'm saying? It's a domino effect of the conscious and the psyche that goes into the level of high science that you're being conditioned to function based on every day. So if you're hearing all this records and you seeing Black men becoming stronger and Black women becoming stronger because we sharing this content and it's successful, everybody's gonna do it. Everybody was successful. So if you got a bunch of successful, self-empowering, righteous, self-aware, strong, mentally, spiritually conscious movements of people, that shit is threatening to the powers that be. And again, there's a lot of shit that's attached to this. So, you know, I don't want to go off the deep end. And
you in the right place. You in the right, because this is where we want to go with it.
Yeah, I'm just touching on the surface to spark thought, because that's watching this, when you walk away from this dialogue that we're having as brothers, they need to take some of this shit and take the initiative to research it deeper, because we planting seeds in the shit we saying. Financially, that shit is serious. Rotimi planted a very important seed. Unification of our people. My sonism is planting an incredible seed, because yo, think about it. There's a Spanish Harlem. There's the Jewish community in Crown Heights.
Chinatown.
There's Chinatowns everywhere. You know, and like Dr. Claude Harlem. You know, like Dr. Claude Austin said, niggas ain't got nothing. Or we the neighborhood. And then we fuck up the neighborhood so much that the neighbors leave. And all we got left is the hood, nigga. That's all we got. You know what I'm saying? And this is some real shit. And, you know, we got to dig into this on a deeper level, and people need to take the initiative to research what we're talking about, because the information is there.
So now, if I could jump in right there, because we said we got to share this information. So we want to share and make it cool, right? Conceptually, to be unified and to be financially educated. You know what I'm saying? Being in the entertainment industry, as all three of you are, what is the first step to doing that? You got a career that you've been 30 years in the game. You know, how do we slide this through, knowing that there's a huge system that is putting up a wall from us showing that type of love to each other?
Like I said, we started at home, bro.
Okay.
You gotta start it at home.
Yeah.
Once we get home in a space that's good enough to feel like you did it properly in your home, then you gotta know the immediate people in your circle that starts to become the extensions of your home. Family,
100%.
friends of the family, good neighbors, good long-term relationships, or even some of the, people that you may not have known long, but you can see it in them, that they gonna evolve in the right direction. It's all instinctual. You share it, you give it to them. And those who's gonna be the ones that's willing to actually learn this shit and actually apply it and execute this shit in real time and space, you're gonna feel proud and you're gonna feel good to continue to feed those people and to nurture those people and continue to water them plants and watch them blossom into beautiful bouquets of flowers, bro. And that's how it works. When I was a shorty, I wanted to rhyme. It was a time where no artists ain't have their own label. The only one that really was able to say they had their own label was Scott LaRock when he started BDP, but everybody else was getting signed to somebody. A lot of the dudes at the time, which is different from now, they would put their arm around you and support you and give you the cosign and the information and the jewels you needed, and it didn't have a financial interest for them. They saw qualities in you that they felt proud to continue to feed. Nowadays, a motherfucker won't give you the information unless you sign to him.
Absolutely.
I won't help you blow unless you on my label, my nigga. That money gotta stay. That's not the way it should work. That's part of the shit that might have hurt the city as far as the music is concerned. Because we stopped just taking care of our own. We stopped unifying with our own. We became wild cliquey. If you ain't in my clique, fuck you, nigga. Or if you ain't signed to me, I'm not gonna help you get on. And that's the mentality, that's some deep-rooted shit. Like my son was saying, we've been conditioned to be fucked up like this for a long time.
100%.
And we gotta change that. We gotta stop doing that. The financial literacy, the unification, it has to start home, and then we organically spread it outwards. People are willing to live and move on the same accord, common destiny, common cause, and let it evolve. And you walk with who's willing to walk with you. And that's what you can do. And it has to be a collective effort. I do that amongst my group. Rotimi does that amongst his group. Johnny, you do that amongst your group. Mike does it amongst his group. That's all we supposed to do.
Yeah.
We fuck around and get with each other. My little 10 people, plus Rotimi's 10, 15. My son's 20. Yours, Johnny.
The dominoes.
We got 100 fucking motherfuckers that's ready to rock.
Yeah.
We can start sitting down and talking some new shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's how it's supposed to happen. You ain't supposed to wear the weight of the world trying to civilize 10,000 motherfuckers on your own. No, it's the effort, brother. And you just focus on what you can bear the responsibility of, and with that, and it's. I just think the magic of that shit starts to evolve right in front of you on its own, man. And
well, listen, brothers,
we need to start going.
These conversations are amazing and extremely important for us to have, and I appreciate y'all. I know everybody watching appreciates y'all. And I've taken a lot away from this. I've taken notes myself. And again, in closing, the financial education starting at home, unification, the merge of both of those things, the systematic oppression of that message, and what we need to do in terms of starting family first. A lot of us have heard these things in our private conversations, but it's good to have this on public platforms and by people who have done it, who have come from where these brothers come from. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate all of you, my son, your personal story, you know, and your activism. Salute to you and everything that you've done for sure. You know what I'm saying? Salute, King, for real. I've seen you on the ground and on the front line. You did it. All your flowers, brother. You know what I'm saying? All your flowers. You know what I'm saying? Same thing, Rotimi, seen your journey. You know what I'm saying? In the lineage from Africa, I love just making sure we connect that too. You know what I'm saying? And having your boo. And the first thing you letting us know, you know, the stories of having a father present and how that changed. You know, how many of us don't have fathers that's present to be able to guide them the way that you've been guided and what you'll be able to do for your children moving forward. And now having to be able to have a house for your family. So amazing. Salute. All the flowers to you. You know what I'm saying? Big respect. Busta, you done already. Both the clocks. You know what I'm saying? You done know. You know, salute to you. And you said you got your first deal at 17.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? Like off the gate, like what would you tell your 17-year-old self? And you like, don't have children early. Like I had a deal at 17 and what you've done as an evolved man to be able to still be relevant. How many brothers still got longevity in this hip hop world that our parents
anything.
last 5 years? You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
putting out projects that just yesterday we still vibing to and bumping like amazingness and an activist and an actor, you know, from higher learning to Rugrats, so all of these different things. So, you know, living legend, your flowers, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Icon. That's an icon right there.
Icon. For real, man. And I appreciate you, brothers, man. And I hope everybody who's paying attention to this was able to get something from it, and that we continue to take these conversations into our smaller circles. And as you saying, continue to expand. You know, because it's very necessary. And what Trump did or whatever the activism, they pulled the skirt up, pulled the curtain back. This is the America we saw and we knew. You know what I mean? But I'm glad we able to see it, and I hope that we able to take advantage of seeing it. You know what I'm saying? And stomp out the roaches. You dig? You know, you turn the lights on, now they out. You know what I'm saying? Let's stomp them out. Yo, blessings to y'all, man. This is Hot 97. I'm Shani Kulture. You know, Black Men Rise. You know what I'm saying? Salute to y'all kings.
Salute, kings.
Salute.
Respect. Much
salute,
love.
salute. Rotimi Mysonne, I love y'all. Salute to my
Love you too, bro.
Love, bro.